We, or I, as Steve points out in the episode, have a fascination with death. Not in terms of the everyday, but when someone passes, especially of a filmic circle, I make it a point to try to put something around them if it's my week on Death to Cinema. The first time it happened on our show, we did Anton Yelchin's Odd Thomas. The second time, Michael Cimino's Heaven's Gate. And this time, sadly, for Bill Paxton's untimely passing, I chose A Simple Plan. It's from 1998, Sam Raimi, the final flick of his that I hadn't seen. You can listen to our episode on The Gift from a year or so back. And this is one of those films that no one ever talks about, and it's a shame because there's so much to talk about, and we do here. If you're a fan of his films, especially Spider-Man, or anything for that matter, if you consider him one of your favorite filmmakers, and you haven't seen this one, please do, because it's a serious surprise, honest to goodness treat, and I'd be dumbfounded if you didn't like it. Welcome to Death to Cinema. I'm Brian Gillis.
And I'm Steven Maltmanex.
Like most people, we love going to the theater and catching latest releases. However, sadly, put a big dent in your wallet.
Fortunately, living in the digital age makes the viewing possibilities endless from the comforts of home.
Many of these films that you can see right from your couch, we're ashamed to say we miss, despite labeling ourselves cinephiles.
So join us as one or both of us cross off a title from our list of shame.
It can be an all-time essential classic,
or an underrated piece of cinema that's worth giving a shot.
Hell, it might just be some trashy film we want the other's opinion on. So sit tight and join us as we pay off our debts, $1 at a time.
Bird. Those things are always waiting on something to die so they can eat it, right? What a weird job. That's an airplane. I wonder how long it's been here. It's probably one of those drunk doctors. You know how they're always crashing their plane, you know?
Oh my God, look at this!
Those are $100 bills.
I bet it's drug money.
You know, what if this guy's a dope dealer and we're just like Robin Hood? It's a police matter now. What do you think we should do?
What if we didn't turn it in?
It's stealing.
It's the American dream, and a gym bag, he just wants to walk away from it.
You work for the American dream. You don't steal it.
And this is even better.
Just gotta start this by apologizing for the delayed recording. I mean, obviously last night we had a big night. I fell asleep. Just didn't feel like doing another episode.
They're not gonna know that, man. You don't have to do that.
I'm apologizing to you because the real reason it's delayed, I did a little intermission because I got a shipment during my screening, and without me knowing, I wasn't even checking the tracking number, my Criterion Collection flash sales arrived, so my Before trilogy box set, I just watched the movie. So I, of course, opened the box, and I was like, okay, I gotta open this thing. Real pretty. I mean, a little dinged up, that's what sucks about shipping things, but all together, man.
It happens.
It's like, I guess I have 3 Criterion, discs. One doesn't count because it's Chasing Amy, but I got 2 real Criterion releases. So.
Chasing Amy counts, man. What are you talking about?
There's like no special features on that shit.
No, there's the audio.
There's no
like
booklet.
The Blu-ray has like the real making of that, but I don't think they ported all the Criterion stuff over. So the Criterion disc still has value, but yeah, like that commentary is still a lot of fun on that disc.
I haven't heard it.
Oh, well, it's worth checking out, man. Young Kevin Smith basically telling DVD to go fuck itself because he thought it was doing a Laserdisc commentary.
No, I have heard that, yeah.
And he prefaces
like,
it by
TVD.
apologizing right away. He's like, sorry I said that. I thought I was doing Laserdisc. But yeah, that's not what we're talking about at all.
No, yeah, we're talking about the final Sam Raimi movie that I haven't seen. I can totally say that I've seen his entire filmography.
And can I just say one thing, by the way?
Uh-huh.
I think we just discovered how The Gift happened. I just picture it now where like there was some moment on set where...
This was so good.
Yeah,
where
Billy
they were
Bob
like, let's
Thornton
make The Gift.
He was just drinking on set, and then he just says, hey, Sam, come over here. I'm writing my name in the snow. And then Sam Raimi comes over, and then he just puts his arm around his back and go like, hey, Sammy, did I ever tell you about my mother? Like,
something like that. I mean, I've seen all of his flicks now, and they're all pretty good with like, the Magical Oz or whatever the hell that was called. Might not be the best movie, the Oz Great and Powerful or Spider-Man 3.
It's a fairly fun movie, honestly.
He has some kind of misses, or like Crime Wave, that one's not particularly good. But altogether, I want to put my stake here. He's the most talented contemporary American filmmaker. He has no constraints, and he can film anything. He's done horror, he's done gore, he's done slapstick. He's done the thriller, the family thriller in the case of The Gift, or this one. This is like the perfect modernized Hitchcock movie. He's done the court drama, the baseball romance flick, the western, the original superhero flick, like a pulp thing, like Darkman. He did the superhero trilogy, which started the superhero craze of today. He did fantasy in Case of Oz, also like the family tentpole. He's done adapted works. He's done original works. He's written his own shit.
I still
he's
have
done
a
TV.
lot to go through, dude. Like, I have not seen what is it? The Natural. That's the Kevin Costner one that he did.
That's not no. That's For Love of the Game.
For Love
Kevin
of the
Costner
Game,
has a
yeah.
lot of baseball movies.
All right, yeah,
so.
no. We talked about it on what was it? Field of Dreams. Yeah, I have not seen Darkman. There's still a lot that I have to get to.
Darkman, Quicker Than Dead. Great.
Yeah, that one's
those
fun.
are amazing.
That one's fun.
It's like young Leo, you got Sharon Stone, Gene Hackman, like great.
Seriously, though, watching this and like having The Gift come up right after, it's like now I understand how The Gift got the cast that it got, because like this, seriously, a movie like this that is just so different from zany shit like Army of Darkness or either of the Evil Dead movies, or just how playful and fun The Quick and the Dead was. It's like I'm seeing this and. Man, if The Gift was not so meh and then he didn't become such a high-profile blockbuster director, then what kind of filmmaker would he have become? Because this is like his Coen Brothers movie, and it's like a really fucking good one. You know, it's like if someone is ripping off Fargo, they're making the best rip-off that they possibly could.
It's funny you say that, too, because Crime Wave, one of the films I named, that was with the Coen Brothers. They wrote that, and he directed it, and then he wrote The Hudsucker Proxy, and they directed that. So they worked together for a little stint there. I mean, it makes sense. They're, they are the generation of independent filmmakers that predate Linklater and Kevin Smith and Rodriguez, like the era before Miramax, like slightly before it anyway, even though like Barton Fink and I want to say Fargo is Miramax. And I want to say Raimi worked with them as well.
I'm not sure.
Is it MGM?
Yeah.
Well, they still worked with the Weinsteins. It's not like it's a separate entity. But yeah, they were the more shoestring independents before the VHS craze when Rodriguez and co were able to do the things that they were possible. Like Raimi didn't go to film school. You just had some friends and they had a camera. Hey, let's put the camera on a plank of wood and see what we can do. And they made one of the scariest movies in American cinema.
Financing from dentists and the rest
all
is
kinds of
history.
weird shit. It's funny because everyone that's our age anyway that saw those first two Spider-Man flicks knew there was something special there. Like there were other good superhero films, but those stand out from even a critical standpoint. Like I was looking, I own Spider-Man 2 different ways, and I was looking at it, I was like, what the fuck? Michael Chabon contributed to the script? Like he came up with a story? Like what? Like he's a Pulitzer Prize winning novelist, and he helped write a superhero flick? That's insane. Even think about it now, like Alfred Molina. This is before big actor. I mean, yeah, there's Jack Nicholson. There's fucking Christopher Reeve wasn't known, but you got
Willem Dafoe's pretty he was in
Willem
Platoon.
Dafoe's,
He was in a lot of stuff.
It's like Willem Dafoe, I think, became big, most notably in his Green Goblin role.
Well,
like that's what made him a crossover.
Like, I think that's
what made him
where I first saw him. But
he was a character actor. Like he was a good character actor.
Elias, man, he's on the poster of Platoon. He's the guy. That iconic shot. Come on, they knew who he was at that point.
Yeah, but also Kevin Dillon and Charlie Sheen are in Platoon.
A lot of
that's
people
a big
Platoon.
cast.
John C. McGinley's in there.
Huge cast.
Forrest Whitaker, Johnny Depp's in there for a second. Like that movie is so good.
So good. But yeah, this is, I guess, I wouldn't exactly call it a series, but this is the third in our Dead Actor or Dead Filmmaker series. It started with Anton Yelchin, and we did Odd Thomas.
I think we should say your Rest in Peace series.
It's mine, but
picks.
it's our show. But yeah, it's my picks. Michael Cimino, we did the Heaven's Gate. And then this one, as the opening says, is Bill Paxton. And, I had lots of picks. I haven't seen all of his works, but this is the one, I talked about in 2 Cents. It's the only Sam Raimi film I hadn't seen. And, hey, Bill Paxton just so happened to be in it, so why the fuck not? And it's actually perfect, too, because there's this great piece of dialogue in here right before that piss in the snow thing that you reference, where Billy Bob's like, we're not hunting, we're collecting a debt. And I was like, okay, I got to write that down. It's like Billy Bob, Sam Raimi, those are returning subjects.
It's like this
did Bad
movie's calling
Santa.
To you, right?
It knew it, yeah. Like it
fate.
literally,
It just had
caught it called out to me during the screening. It was like, "We're collecting a debt." I was like, "Yes, we
Well, you are. Technically, I saw this on a plane before, and I was...
This doesn't count, man.
I was like 8 years old. You know, I remembered the movie. It's just I didn't remember the movie, if that makes any sense.
No,
it's like
it totally
I'm seeing
makes
stuff,
sense.
and I'm like, okay, I remember this scene. I remember that scene. But you're just seeing the basics, and you understand shit like, oh, yeah, they found money, and you know...
Yeah, they got some money, and some shit happened.
One guy's really greedy, and they can't agree, and stuff like that. You know, things like the theme of... And you know what? We didn't realize how good we had it, or stuff like just the scenes with Billy Bob and Bill Paxton. Like that, of course, went over my head because I'm just kind of like, oh, they're just talking, and I'm bored. But I'm on an airplane, and it's cool because it's a movie on an airplane, and that's awesome.
I love The Evil Dead, the first one. I love Quick and the Dead. I think For Love of the Game is a great film, but hands down, I think this is Sam Raimi's best work.
I feel it's a great, just effortless film, man. Like, but I don't feel like I've seen enough. But it's like this is like someone who just completely divorces themselves of their own style and just like what is undeniably their film, and just does service to the material. And it's like it's got that Coen Brothers feel, but it's there's so many other just original elements here. I mean, just down to the fucking score from the beginning. Like, it's Danny Elfman. Sounds nothing like Danny Elfman. And he's playing with, like, just these really weird flute sounds that are so fucking unnerving. And you're just... you can't help but be hooked. Like, just it's like, what am I listening to and what am I watching? Like, what is this gonna be? Like... You know, there's things that like feel like, okay, Sam Raimi putting crows in there should be kind of a touch, but it's not like he's fetishizing it in a way that you would expect him to do.
The Dead Pilot and the Crows were like as close to Sam Raimi oeuvre as you get here. Bruce Campbell doesn't show up. The Oldsmobile isn't here. Ted Raimi doesn't make some kind of appearance. None of the actors that show up in his works are here. You could easily watch this and not know who the director is and like, oh, this is a really great film. Like, who made this? And you're like, wait, it's the fucking Spider-Man guy? No way. Like, it's that movie. Like, it's so weird. Like, it's like you said.
This is shot, man. Like, there's simple, like, I know it's on the poster and I've seen it, but there's that shot where all four of them are just walking into the snow, and I'm just like, oh, fuck, that is a great image. Like, there's just so many simple compositions that are great. That just...
It's not even simple, but my favorite piece of filmmaking here, there's two really good ones, but my favorite one is when Carl, the sheriff, comes into the barber, and it's a single take, and you got Bill Paxton like dozing off, and he comes in, and he's like, oh, is he sleeping? But everything from the blocking there to the sound design, it's like Bill Paxton's trying to turn and look at him, the barber's like, fucking stop moving, and you know, he keeps readjusting his head. He's clipping just the sound of the scissors and the comb, and how it's both like a close-up on Bill Paxton's face, so you're seeing all of these little things that the sheriff can't see, and yet in the background you also have the sheriff coming in, you have the camera on a pivot, so he goes to get the lollipop and then back to normalcy. Like, that one alone, I want to cut that clip out and put it on YouTube, and like, this is great filmmaking. Like, the other one is more of a joking matter with the bar sequence when Lou is walking the bathroom and he grabs the chick's ass, and like 5 seconds later the dude trips him and he gets all pissed off, and it's like, well, that's just karma, man. What do you...
I just love when Jacob goes back and what is it that he says? Like,
he's like, shit in one hand, he's like, oh.
Oh man, like you know, speaking of Jacob, like this movie is kind of almost infuriating because it's irritating when you watch like a character be so fucking stupid.
He's not stupid, though.
Well, no, he makes really, really dumb choices. Like, oh, no, you can't go in there. Oh, no, don't go in the woods. And then he fucking whacks the guy that's on the snowmobile. It's like, okay, that almost felt like when I was watching it, like, oh, fuck, that one feels a little forced. You're doing something way too contrived here. But then again, at the same time,
the more
like, you
get to
meet
know
that character over time, and
you're like, nope, yep, he would do that.
It's like, yeah, it's sad. He is kind of dumb, but you know, he has a soul, and he's a very, very sad person.
I wouldn't necessarily say he's dumb. He's just misunderstood.
He's not bright. No, he's definitely not bright. Yeah, well, I mean, he's the child. It's almost like he never really grew up or matured, and his one goal throughout this is just to buy back the house that he grew up in and to take care of it, even though he's never really, you know, tried to grow up. He hangs out with Lou, who's just this juvenile asshole that's 40, that really, he probably peaked in high school, and yet, you know, what's he doing? He's still fucking, the first time you see him, he's just mooning Jacob out the window, you know, fucking spelling his name in the snow, just pissing, and even Jacob likes shit like that. Like, they are very childish, and Lou's just the example of the fucking drunk, but Jacob just kind of never grew up, and
Everyone in this movie that you meet, besides Hank and his wife, Bridget Fonda, it seems stupid. And that's just because it's like, well,
I don't think it's a small town vibe. Or
it's not a small town thing. I think it's just inherent to the story. The guy who wrote this book adapted the screenplay. I think it's just how this community is, and kind of makes sense. It's a rural farming town. The main character works at like a feed location.
At least Jacob and Lou, though, they're very different from just the town themselves. Like,
you don't really know that, though. You don't meet.
You don't
the
meet
only
them,
people,
but you don't get the sense that they're dumb. Honestly,
you meet Jacob, you meet Lou, you meet Hank, you meet Hank's wife, you meet Lou's wife, and then you meet the sheriff. Pretty much, like, you don't get any other characters, and even the sheriff Carl. Yeah, why didn't you ask for this FBI agent's badge? You know,
that
like
was
there's dumbfounding moments all over the place. Like it's kind of like you were saying, like this is kind of like a Coen Brothers like Fargo type of thing, where you just stop second guessing and you're like, nope, I've never been to this part of America, but I'm sure it is like that there. Like we were talking about 2 Cents about white privilege and how I'm from a very culturally diverse part of.
You're from the West Coast in an urbanized area. The country is different.
Well, even beyond that, though, like you can be on the West Coast in an urbanized area, but I'm like in a petri dish of culture. And when you're in middle of America, where it's snowing all the time, and there isn't anyone who isn't white in your town, then yeah, you might be like real stupid.
Not stupid, just maybe more innocent. Or oblivious to things. But I mean, the thing is that they can keep that little society running. If you left those jobs to Lou or Jacob, that would not be the case at all. Jacob would just Lou would go around shooting everybody.
Lou is stupid. Jacob is just misunderstood.
Jacob is a pushover who just doesn't have any confidence. Lou is stupid, and he's hot-headed. And he does... Yeah. He's purely just motivated by greed entirely. But I mean, he is able to convince them to go with this because
they're all motivated by greed, though. When you come down to it, every decision in this film, the title is perfect. It's a simple plan. They find the money. Let's hide the money. We wait for it to blow over, and then we spend the money. It's a very simple plan, and anything that could possibly happen goes wrong. Like there's nothing that goes according to plan here.
Well, I mean, the big key reason, though, for that is just none of these guys can trust each other right off the bat because they are so different. You got Lou, who's just a loose cannon. Jacob's kind of in between, but Bill Paxton's what's his name? Hank. Yeah, he's the educated guy that thinks things through. Like, but they can't agree on the same thing because Lou is completely selfish.
He went to college. I wouldn't necessarily say he's educated.
Well, that's compared to how like this is introduced because they do say that like. Lou is insecure enough to like bring things up like use them big words, and then Hank is all like, dude, I said that like 2 months ago. You're still thinking about that, really? Like, are you that insecure about it? In a situation like that, especially, like I'm wondering if a simple plan could work, because this is a big what if scenario of what would you do if you found that much money? And if these guys could trust each other right off the bat or get along, then hell, maybe they could have. Maybe they could have gotten away with it.
That's what's interesting about this film too, because it's just a character piece. That's all it is. It's just study of characters. Like the reason why Hitchcockian films work so well is because it's nothing that far out of left field. It's like a situation that you could find yourself in, and you unlock or discover just what kind of lengths people will go to, the horrible things that humanity is possible of or capable of when they, have some kind of drive that isn't like innocent. And that's all this is.
It changes you completely.
It's like Lou and Jacob might be best friends. They have a lot in common. Yeah. They're unemployed. Like, they haven't done anything since high school. However, Lou has a wife. He has somewhere to live. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have a job because, he's lazy, Whereas Jacob doesn't have a job because he's kind of a slob. He's dirty. He's a little slow to the chase. He's not really
organized.
Yeah, like his problems are like he's living in the past, and the more you watch the film, you understand why. Like he shielded his younger brother throughout his life from certain things, like their dad's suicide and the farm. Like you went to college, and your parents were farmers, and you didn't know that they got the second mortgage to put you through school. Like it's those kind of moments you're like, no, I'm sorry, Hank, but you're not smart. Your wife is smart.
Well,
Bridget Fonda's character is brilliant here. Like we're talking about Frost Nixon and All the President's Men and how like female characters don't exist in those films. This is exactly how you write a female character. She starts the movie off pregnant, then she has the kid.
Speaking of which, you know what? I gotta be that asshole. But how would you rank those tits? Did you think that?
No, I didn't even see
This is the
tits.
second
What?
Sam Raimi pick. The first shot of her, you see her with a pregnant belly as she's coming out, and yeah, she's totally topless.
I was looking at the pregnant belly, man. What? No.
Her breasts are exposed, man.
No, this is the first time
It's
on
not
the show.
It's not a close-up, but you see them, and I was just like,
this
wow.
is definitely the first time on our show that you've brought up tits before me. Just saying. Maybe it's because she was a humanized character. Like she wasn't.
I don't want
just
to
on...
degrade her like that. The only reason I'm bringing up is this is a Sam Raimi. That was the motivation for the last Sam Raimi movie we did, and that thought just came to my head.
No, I didn't even. I didn't even notice. I was looking at her stomach. But just everything
it's
about
not fetishized or anything. There's nothing sexy about it, but it is there plain as day.
If there is a ringleader here, it is her.
Oh yeah, no, she is the schemer, full on.
Sarah does everything. Like, get the tape recorder, hide the money, put the money back in the plane. Like, is he an FBI agent? You get that
she's
line.
She's the objective eye, and Hank is just deep inside it. You know, she's the coach, and Hank's the player.
It's like you get that line from Lou where he's like, well, just say that she inherited the money. No one knows anything about her. It's like, yeah, no one does know anything about her. Where'd she come from? Like, I would assume that the two of them met in college. Hey, I got this nice family out in the farm. You want to come back home with me? And she was like, yeah, that sounds good. Because she doesn't have the accent. Everyone in the movie has like a kind of indescribable, Midwest, almost like Southern hick accent, except her. She's the only one that doesn't. And I don't know where Bill Paxton's from, but I know Billy Bob's from Texas.
Bill Paxton's from Texas.
Is he from Texas too?
Yeah.
So maybe this is North Texas.
Hey, Coen Brothers, you know, like, could be.
Could be.
Blood Simple's set in Texas, so.
Blood Simple is a weird movie.
It's a good movie, though.
Yeah, it's good. But yeah, man, like there's really great scenes just between these characters, especially when you get to know them before there's a lot of bloodshed, before the body count stacks up. Like that moment where we're talking about Sarah saying, "Hey, why don't you get the tape recorder? We'll trick him. We'll get him to confess, and then you use that just in case." And how that plays out, you got Bill Paxton promising Billy Bob, like, oh yeah, we'll get you that farm, we'll get you that money, don't worry about it. And they have that bar sequence where, I already mentioned, the tripping thing that happened with grabbing the girl's ass. But they're sitting there, and Bill Paxton's like drinking, Lou's drinking, and Jacob's just watching, like, what the fuck am I doing here?
Yeah.
I don't like my brother. I love my best friend, and I'm watching, and
it's so
you can
sad
see
because
it.
he's just completely torn the whole time, and then it's weird how, like, it shifts gears, and he's totally playing on two sides. Like, for a second it could seem like he's helping his brother out by playing along, but no, he's completely just venting over all this perceived bullshit that his brother does that he just doesn't like. But and
you get
just
that,
Bill Paxton's there just like freaking out, like, shit, what the hell do I do now?
Amazing moment right there, though, where for, I don't know, like the last 4 minutes or so, it's like Hank and Lou are finally connecting. They're friends. They're drinking. They're having a good time. Yeah. And Jacob's in the corner just kind of watching, like, what the hell am I doing here? I'm betraying my brother and my friend. Which one do I pick? And then just the whole scene is changed where you go back to the duo of Jacob and Lou, and they're like, no, they're like, where he's making fun of Hank, and he's like, are you drinking like a bird? You ever seen someone drink whiskey like this? He's like, look at me, I live up on Perry Lewis Place. And like he does that little sip, and I'm like, yeah, like I laughed out loud. I was like, yeah, who the fuck does drink whiskey like that, like out of a thimble and shit? Like he had a shot glass and he was sipping a shot glass, like he lives in a country club, like like he was nice scotch or something. and I'm watching that, I'm like, oh man, this is good, this is so good. Like just the writing in this movie is so good. How everything is framed, how it moves at a very calculated pace, and nothing is surprising because
just for that scene,
you see it coming.
It's how Jacob takes control of that situation. Maybe he's the smart one because he totally fucking flips it around, or maybe he just didn't think that he was getting.
Jacob's
Lou
definitely the smart one
at that point, and then Bill Paxton just took the opportunity. But
Jacob is definitely the smart one for
he's
that.
The one that he's the heart of the movie. Essentially,
the final real scene here proves how smart he is. Especially because I wanted to play back to the beginning before I finished it, because I was thinking about, one of my criticisms for Dope was the narration. And I was thinking about this film, I was like, why did it start with Bill Paxton narrating the movie? And then the narration dropped out and never came back. And then when you get to the end, you get the narration.
Yeah, no, you have the entire thesis basically spelled out for you in the beginning. You don't have the final note being presented, but you know essentially what the moral is going to be at the end of this.
See, I kind of forgot about that narration, or at least what was said when I got to the end of it, and I was wondering why. And it kind of made sense when you get there, and that's why Jacob's smart, because we're kind of at the end of the episode, so I guess we can talk about it. Just that brutal scene, you're talking about the iconic image of the four of them walking through the snow to look for the plane. Mm-hmm. But the fact that, yeah, it's exactly what you thought, like, not Bob Ross, that's the painter. Bob Cole, it's like he shoots Carl, and then Hank shoots Bob Cole's character, and then you get Billy Bob going, I don't want to do this. Like, he has that tender moment when they're in the car, like they're like, they have like a couple scenes together where they really become brothers, and it's sadly mostly after Lou's dead.
About Jacob, though, it's sad when he just is considering, like, there's moments where he's just like, maybe we should just throw the money away, and then he's like, you know what, it'd be good to be rich. I've never kissed a girl before. Maybe I just want that feeling, and you're just like, oh my god, it's so fucking sad.
That scene,
that
broke
girl
my
that was
heart.
dating him for a month, it was like, oh man, like,
it's like, let me get this straight.
I feel really
Your
bad
brother didn't know that the only girlfriend you've ever had was a con played on him by the girlfriend's best friends, who all cobbled together $100 just to pretend that she was his girlfriend for a month.
I wouldn't call Hank kind of a dumb guy, as you said, but it's
He's
just
not,
just dumb in what we were talking about
he's
earlier.
that
But it's
person,
like when you have outsiders like Jacob, you perceive them as stupid, but you don't really know what it is that they're thinking, and like he's that guy where in high school you could just see him as a joke and the guy that's picked on and made fun of, but just how fucking damaged they are inside, and the stuff that they're seeing as opposed to everybody else, because all they see in Jacob is what they want to see. And when you're liked by generally everybody else, you tend to ignore stuff like, oh, what is Jacob feeling? How does he feel about this? Like, I guess it makes sense actually to me, like, that Bill Paxton's just sort of oblivious to everything else because he didn't want to see or
like
notice
Hank's
any of that
character
stuff.
is totally the person who, he went to college, unlike everyone else in his town. He had an education. He's not in exactly a great job, but he is, like, kind of an authority figure. There's
a plot hole there where it's just like, or logical, where it's like, if you went to college, what did you major in? Because why would you go back?
Who the fuck cares?
It's
like he probably had some kind of responsibility. He probably came back before his dad died.
It's like when I know some people like to move back home, but goodness, like, for me, the idea of college is, okay, get the hell away from there. Get away from people at home.
He's the guy that gets the education, thinks he knows everything, and the more the movie you watch, the more you understand that he actually knows nothing. He really doesn't. Like, he has no expertise throughout the film. It seems like he's the one calling the shots, like he's the one that's running everything, but no,
he's the one
like
that has
said,
the most common sense of the three guys.
It's his wife that knows things, and maybe the only reason why he has the most common sense is because the other two are drunks, and the reason they're drunks is because they don't have good lives. It's like he has the good life, and yet he's possibly more stupid than the two of them are. Like, how do you not think about, you just blackmailed one of these guys in his own house after his wife just came downstairs and told you guys to shut the fuck up, and you're gonna blackmail this guy and just walk out like, oh, don't worry, I'm not gonna do anything about it.
By the way,
like,
just real quick, Mrs. Weir or Mrs. Horvath, however you want to look at her. You noticed that, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter because I stopped watching
It's
Girls.
amusing just to see her being blasted with just a pump full of, like, shotgun shells and then just hitting the wall like that. I laughed a bit at that, honestly.
It's a little bit. It's like, I know we're a little young. This came out before we were really into films, before we followed. Just
before we knew who Sam Raimi was.
That too.
Okay, well,
I saw Darkman. I saw Darkman in '98.
I didn't even know who Sam Raimi was when I saw Spider-Man. Like, I wasn't even paying attention to directors' names yet at that point. But
yeah, I might not have known the name, but I had definitely seen Darkman by the time this film came out, or right around that time frame. But yeah, we were too young. We didn't follow the trades. We didn't know anything. But when people talk about Sam Raimi, this one never gets brought up. Like, I saw it on Twitter a good amount because of Bill Paxton's passing. It's like, oh, he's really good in this one. But outside
this is totally the one where when people are discovering movies for the first time, and they talk about Sam Raimi, this is the one that you point to and you bring up. It's like, have you seen A Simple Plan? No. It's like, okay, read nothing because it's one of the ones hidden in his filmography, and just watch it. Just
really
watch
is,
it knowing literally nothing, because there's really not that much credit that this movie has gotten. Like, there is not even a Blu-ray, and the DVD has no bonus features at all. And so,
oh, man.
like, I considered renting that just because. Well, I don't know. Did you see it on Prime?
Is it on Prime?
Yeah, I thought that's how you were watching it.
Oh no, I downloaded a copy like
Oh.
2 years ago.
Not using
or
the
something
service
like
that you got.
Yeah, well, see, that's
that's the thing though, is that
like,
you can watch it in HD, and even then, it's not an HD master. It's just a DVD upconvert, so it looks.
I had
fine,
a shitty copy. It was like in the like 500p
it's the same
range.
master, I'm sure that we got. Just if you watch it on Prime, it probably looks a bit better.
Maybe a little bit better.
And sounds a bit better too. But yeah, like this is just one of those ones hidden in the filmography where it's like there's a lot of directors that have great stuff out there that's really overlooked or just underrated. Like, you know, Spielberg has Empire of the Sun.
Really good.
Yeah, Scorsese has Cape Fear. You know, even though that's a remake of a well-known movie, it's just it's overshadowed by things like Taxi Driver, or overshadowed by things like E.T., and this is overshadowed by Evil Dead and Spider-Man. You know, obviously with good reason, because those are Sam Raimi films. You know?
It's like I said at the beginning of the episode. It's like Sam Raimi. Every film of his that I've seen, with the exception of Spider-Man 3 and Oz the Great and Powerful, just fucking fantastic. It's just he's a genre filmmaker. That's what he does. He doesn't do anything but a genre. And eventually he might do like the Academy type movie. Like he'll do the character piece because the characters here are great, but it's still a Hitchcockian thriller, you know, like it's still pigeonholed in a certain way, or it's a Coen Brothers type film. I would love for him, maybe that's what he does next, for him to make just like a straightforward, like an adult piece of cinema. Not something that's tied to, tights or blood or scares or anything like that. I want to see what he's capable of when he's not tied down to a gimmick almost. Because this just proved it to me. This is definitely his most adult fare. It's the thing that you could show to anyone and they're probably going to enjoy. It's the one that champions him, not just as a director, but as a filmmaker. And for a lot of reasons and everything we've talked about this one, I'm obviously going to buy this one for $1. Just like dumbfounding that it took me this long to see it, given how many of his films I've seen, all of them. But I guess you could say the same thing about The Gift, and it took me, you know, even though I had a really good reason to watch that movie, and you can hear about it.
You just wanted
in our
to buy
episode.
their time. It's like I'll get to it when I need it.
Probably, you know, like there's certain films by directors.
That's kind of what The
where
Gift
it's like
is.
That.
It's not where
Gift
like
is
you
totally
rush
that.
out to it. It's like no, wait till you need that one.
Wait,
even if
you
it's
don't
for that
need
reason.
You don't even need The Gift unless you really like Katie Holmes. And then, yeah, you need it. I needed it.
Or if you really like Harold and Kumar and you're convinced that you really need it.
I said you can listen to that episode. It's a different episode.
Yeah. But I think that's the shortest episode we've ever done because there's not that much to say about it.
There's nothing to say about that movie. It's not good.
It's weird because it's like it has a great cast, but not that great performances. It starts out with the weirdest jump scare that has nothing to do with the movie. So it's like... It's almost like a combination of Raimi doing something like slow and just very, very like specifically paced like this, and then wants to inject some Evil Dead jump scare or something that's humorous. I don't.
It's like
I kind of remember it, but I don't.
It's a real thing. He was on the set with Billy Bob. He told him his story about his mom, who was clairvoyant, and then this got such acclaim, I would assume at the time, that the studio just threw him money. What do you want to make next? So yeah, me and Billy Bob are gonna make this, and then he made that movie, and he just like got like cocksure about this film, and he made something not great. Like I want to seriously, because I'm sure there aren't clips of this on the internet. I want to make clips. I already said, you know, the one at the barber.
Clips, just tell people to see it. It's on Prime.
We can do that.
If you have Prime, a lot of people have Prime.
It will
you can
only
watch
be
it
on
Prime
right for a certain amount of time, okay?
Yeah, but right now, at
I
the
want
very
a
least,
clip
right now when this episode airs in
I want a
March
clip
2017.
Of that fucking barber scene. I want a clip of the bar, and I also want one in the car where Billy Bob has his speech about, you know, like, I just want to know what people do. I don't care if it's only because of the money. I just want to have someone, you know.
It's just like, can you imagine that to be just deprived of the simple human moments where you just can connect and like, God, that has to be a really shitty life. It's sad, man.
I didn't know Raimi could film something like that because, yeah, Spider-Man 2 has scenes like that, you know? Like, that's why everyone loves Spider-Man 2 because it brought humans to a superhero film.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, as much as like Raimi is a guy that has, you know, his own stylistic traits and his own horror flourishes that are very well known, like, because you can find bits of even Evil Dead and Spider-Man 2, you know, with that hospital scene, or like there's definitely stuff like that.
I'm back, my back.
He's never been a guy to like really fetishize his own style. He can tackle anything just because he usually knows how to tell a story, or how he feels is the right way to tell it. That's the kind of filmmaker he is. Even though, you know, I like Oz. I know you weren't hot on it, but he did not make false choices.
It's not a bad movie. Yeah, it's James
I
Franco's
think,
good.
I think he captured a good feel. He
Michelle
composed,
Williams is good.
Yeah,
they're all good.
He composed like some really cool images out of that fit what was supposed to happen there. And just supported the tone, gave this really cool imagery, played with 3D really nicely. You know, it's not like an amazing movie, but it's a really good example of 3D filmmaking, and I think it's a pretty fun fantasy film.
I didn't see it in 3D. I saw it before its release. I did a screening in Gary's class.
That was right after opening weekend.
Yeah, the screenwriter was there, so we had some questions for him.
And he was kind of bitter about the whole thing.
Oh yeah, because they cut out shit that he wanted in there.
Well, that's the thing, is that he wrote the original script, and then the other writer that has the credit after him is the guy that rewrote what is mostly what got out. So he seems somewhat bitter.
But that's one of those also ran Disney movies, kind of like John Carter, where it takes place between them buying all of the properties that they currently have. And when they took it, like, you know, they would go for the fences. They swung for them. Like Tron Legacy, John Carter, Oz, all of those came out right before they bought Lucasfilm.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, Alice in Wonderland. They tried another one of those, and that shit failed.
But it's
in
the same type of live action movie that they were trying to put out.
It's like Alice in Wonderland is the first in the series of live reactions, for sure. It's like that one was a success, and now they've kind of proven that making a sequel to something that doesn't already have an animated version is horrible.
Should probably die now because
it's already died.
Yeah,
no,
I mean,
no
it was
one wants
supposed to happen, and then now it's just too late. You know?
It's way too late. Sam Raimi's moved on. Like, he's like, after the fiasco which happened between Spider-Man 3 and 4 and how long that was in development hell. No, like I don't think he's at a period anymore in his career where he's willing to waste years and years on developing something. Like, no one knows really what he's doing now. Like, it's been rumored that he might be working, or at least he might be producing The Last of Us for Sony. Like, I think there's a really good possibility for that. But if you look at his IMDb, there's just like a series of a couple of things that you're not really sure about. Like, it seems like he's pretty busy with Ash vs. the Evil Dead at Starz, and for good reason. That's a pretty good show, and you know, it's Ash Williams and it's Bruce Campbell, so why not? But
I should give my rating first because we haven't even gotten to that. But yes,
you're
I would buy it for $1.
Of course you're buying it,
obviously.
Yeah.
You know what? Like, really just like, you know, as far as like a scenario of like what would you do if you got the money, and really like the theme is it's very much told to you what the moral of the story is going to be, but god damn does it resonate just when he says, like, you know, oh, it really is the simple things in life. You know, I had all that, I was a happy man, and then just seeing how that changes, like, it just, I mean, I love how that theme is presented, especially with his wife, of how he first asks her the question, well, what would you do if you found the money? It's like, well, I would turn it in, you know, I don't think I'm that person. I wouldn't need it. And then he just drops it, and she's laughing and smiling and is considering, you know what, no, this is too dangerous. But then she just gets in really deep into it. And, you know, when she says things like, you know, we got a good house, you got a good job, you got a good life. And then later on, it gets to things like, do you want your daughter to wear hand-me-downs? Do you want to work at a job where you're not going to get promoted until someone is going to die? Like, just, it's like once you have that much money, it's like you can't go back and just enjoy simple things. And then just to get to the ending of like how basically just says, like, you know what, there's days when we pretend that never happened, or where we try to, but we just can't. Like, you're scarred for life, and it's just like eternal psychological damnation. And it's just such a fucking good cautionary tale that you just, right when that fucking final note hits, you just totally feel that. And I mean, yeah, I really love the way that is structured, how that is explored, and really it's such a beautiful tragedy that's very powerful. And I'm not gonna lie, you know, when you get to that Billy Bob scene near the end by the plane,
pretty emotional.
I felt my eyes watering up a bit. You know, no movie has made me cry yet, but this could have been the one. Like, it was really, really sad. But yeah, like, just really damn good filmmaking that makes the most out of a very simple premise.
Like, Strangers on a Train might not be my favorite Hitchcock film, but it has an equally or even more bizarre situation as a setup. It's like, what if you were encountering, what if you were on a train and this random person sat and started talking to you and asked you if you would kill his mom if he killed your mom? You know,
well, that's girlfriend. You're thinking of Throw Mom off the train.
Well, Throw
That's
Mom
the
Off the
Danny DeVito
Train
line.
is a fucking like rip
It's a
off
weird
of that movie.
Yeah, no, and they deliberately reference it. That movie's fucking weird.
It's
I wasn't into it.
Stranger on the Train is really weird, especially when you throw in the idea of celebrity, and the only reason the guy was approached in the first place is because he's a famous tennis player, you know. And I don't know if David Fincher is still making the what's her
remake?
name? Yeah, the remake.
Yeah.
What's her name? What's
we
the
don't
writer's
need it.
name? It's because I know it's gonna be
For Gone
starred.
Girl?
Yeah,
Gillian Flynn. I think.
Gillian Flynn, something like that. I don't. Who knows if she's still writing it? Who knows if Ben Affleck's still starring it? I kind of still want to see it though. Strangers on a Plane, or Strangers as it's known. I'm pretty sure that's dead at this point.
Of all the things to remake, we don't need remakes of Hitchcock films. Like they stand.
What
so
about
well
Psycho?
on their own at this
That would
point.
make a great remake. How about it, Gus Van Sant? You want to make
know
that
what?
one?
I respect the approach for that actually because
A shot for
No,
shot?
yeah, basically just he did as an experiment. It's just like okay, if anyone's gonna do this, he knew that they were gonna screw up, so he really wanted to see what that would be like. And I have not seen it, but I've seen scenes from that
I've
movie.
seen
And no,
it.
it's interesting. It's like
that.
it's proof that the auteur theory is valid. Even if you try to do the same exact thing, you're just not gonna do it.
A remake is fine. A recreation is not. If
How
you
would that movie look in black and white?
who cares?
Because
This-
like making that.
This
in
is
color,
the
that's one thing
idea
that throws the
behind
feel
that
off.
that remake or recreation. It's like people don't want to watch black and white movies with anymore. They want to see colored film, guys. Thanks for listening. We hope it's been a pleasure. If you like this show and you want to hear more of our wonderful voices on a weekly basis, check out 2 Cents. I'll recap what's happened in film, TV, and tech news.
We're also on the titular Dollar Review Show, a spoiler-free critique of new releases or anything we've discovered on our own, whether that be TV, music, etc.
You can find all of our content at dollarreviews.net. Follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook at Dollar Reviews.
And we're also on Google Play Music, iTunes, Pocket Cast, TuneIn, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube, just about anywhere on the internet with hours of content available to you for free. But for those of you that feel that the show is worth your dollar, you can send us a donation at patreon.com/dollarreviews. Contributions not only earn our undying love, but they also make it possible for us to improve our recording equipment and to give you the highest quality episodes possible. But more importantly, they'd be helping us acquire the content to review. You know, trips to the multiplex are expensive, and the more donations we receive, the more films we can review for your listening pleasure.
If you listen somewhere we're currently not available, you'd like to contribute some talking points, send a Death to Cinema request, or if you just want to laugh at us, you can do so by reaching out to us on social media or send an email to brian@dollarreviews.net.
Or you can email me as well, steve@dollarreviews.net.
You can follow me personally on Twitter at Brian Gillis, that's BRYONGILLIS, and now you know how to spell the email too, and also under the same name on the lovely site Letterboxd, which acts as my film diary, where I rate films I'm watching, write the occasional review, and even sometimes compile lists.
You can also find me on Twitter at S_MTX, and also follow my film diary at Letterboxd under the same name, where I log everything I watch, and sometimes write brief reviews.
That's it for this week. Until next time, keep the change.